For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love. Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work. Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. Who or what are you celebrating? Today is Tuesday. It's not Wednesday. Today is Tuesday. That's how crazy and mixed up I am. I'm busy thinking about a show that I'm about to do after 4 years. But tonight, we have those girls. All 4 of them. They are going to be at Don't Tell Mama on Thursday night. I know I've got that right. They're going to be there Thursday night, but we've got them tonight. Now, I'm a little discombobulated here because I am going to try to share one of their video clips. And let's see.
Holding me tight. I got steam heat. I got steam heat. I got steam heat. But I need your love to keep away the cold. They told me to shovel more coal in the boiler. They told me to shovel more coal in the boiler. They told me to shovel more coal in the boiler. But that don't do no good. They told me to pour some more oil in the burner. They told me to pour some more oil in the burner. Oh my God, I got. They told me to pour some more oil in the burner. But that don't do no good. Coal in the boiler. No good. Oil in the burner. No good. Is it cold? No. Hot? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Come on, people. Get hot. Boing, boing. Boing, boing. Boing, boing. That don't do no good. The radiator's hissing still. I need your kissing to keep me from freezing each night. I got a hot water bottle, but nothing I got take the place of you. Holding me tight. They told me to shovel more coal in the boiler. They told me to shovel more coal in the boiler. They told me to shovel more coal in the boiler. But I need your love to keep away the cold. Boink, boink.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I love you! Love you! Those girls! Rachel Hanser, Eve Eaton, Wendy Ann Russell and Karen Mack and Stephen Ray Watkins.
Oh my God, what fun that was.
Back in the day.
I was going to bring you all individually, but as I was watching this, I said, no, I'm bringing you all on together. We're all going to join this celebration together tonight. I am so thrilled that you're here. That performance was obviously Richard Skipper Celebrates before COVID. Wow.
Right.
And now you have this new show that you're doing, that you're debuting. Is it the debut Thursday night?
No, we actually opened it in the fall over at the Laurie Beachman Theater, which tends to be our home when we roll out a new show, because it's always, there's the 4 of us and there's a band and all of that. And then we decided that we wanted to do a few more performances in the new year and thought it would be fun to maybe see what how it would play if we scaled down just a little bit. And they had the folks over at the Don't Tell Mama opened their arms to us and said, would you be willing to bring it here and do a couple of shows? We've had just such a good time there. But it's still very new, right? Right. Like we mostly know it.
Yes.
Feels very new.
I've got so many questions that I want to ask about your process and everything. I want to start back at the beginning for each of you. And I asked for some early pictures early on in your career and careers. We'll start here. And you can tell us a little bit about this little girl. That must be you, Rachel.
Why, it is.
Right in front of the piano. And
She hasn't changed a bit.
So tell us about what you remember about this picture.
Well, you know what? It was at my cousin Dan's birthday party. And I know it was at their house in Teaneck, New Jersey. And we were having just a wonderful time. And I don't know, I must have been performing or doing something in that particular pose. But I remember I have fond memories of being with my cousins and my family at that stage of my life, and just, having a wonderful time together.
Did you grow up in a musical household?
I did in a way. My parents were both musical. My father had a great ear. He used to play harmonica, off the cuff. And my mother used to sing us to sleep at night. And she had a beautiful voice. And all four kids, we used to sing together in the house. My brother was a really good piano player, so he would play show tunes or Beatles songs, and we would, sing along with each other. So it's not like my parents weren't professional musicians, but we did have a musical household for sure.
And were you all singing in harmony? Because, I mean, you've got these rich harmony, and not only have you done harmonies with those girls, but you've done harmonies with others as well. You have such a perfect ear for this. Did that really start with your siblings?
It absolutely started with my siblings. My brother and my sister and I would harmonize all kinds of things, starting, like I said, with the Beatles. They were our favorite, but we used to sing Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and we would put harmony on everything, all by ear. It went from there. When I was in college, I sang in an a cappella group in college. And then after college, I sang in an a cappella group. But for me, I love singing harmony. That's just one of my favorite things to do. So.
And are they in the business as well?
Only one of my brothers is. He's a professional musician. He's a songwriter, producer. He's got a company where he brings musicians together and does weddings and bar mitzvahs. And he and I, the only thing we do together every year is we do a musical service for the Jewish high holidays in Fort Lee, New Jersey. So that's our gig together that we do, which is really lovely.
Well, keep me on your list. I'm not far from Fort Lee.
Oh, please come join us.
There's a moment in a person's life where that lightning bolt goes through you and you go, this is for me. This is the career I'm going on. It's one thing that your family is doing it for fun. It's another thing to pursue it as a career. What was that moment for you?
Wow, that's a really good question. The first time I started out as an instrumentalist playing in band, saxophone and clarinet. The girls know this story, and I don't want to give too much away from our show, but the first time I sang on stage, I was at camp. And I was terrified, but I had a wonderful time doing it. And there's just something addictive, at least for me, when I'm on that stage and somebody laughs or I catch somebody's eye and I see joy on their face, and then I hear the roar of the audience, and I don't know, it's the adrenaline that hits you, the elation. I really, really love it. And when I sing with the girls and we hit some of those beautiful chords that Stephen Ray Watkins helps to write for us, I just have a physical reaction to it, and it's magic.
Well, I'm going to pull up another photo, and here she is. And there's no denying who this is. She looks absolutely the same. So angelic, looking out in the world.
Imagine.
I love this.
That sweater's like 5 sizes too big. I don't know what they were thinking with that sweater, man.
So tell us about this little girl.
This little girl is a troubled soul. Look at It's funny. I don't. Rachel's got a much better memory than I do. I have no idea when that was taken. Although looking at the backdrop, it must have been like the local Olin Mills or something. So
Olin Mills.
it must have been for something. And I have no doubt that I probably cut my own bangs like the day before, like for no good reason. And so that's
Yourself.
why my hair is like all like crazy, fluffed around, like to distract from the fact that they're like, but yeah, that's my sweet smile, Richard.
And Karen, where did you grow up?
I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania. I grew up in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, which is
And did you grow up in a musical household?
no, not really. No, nobody in my family structure was kind of weird, and a lot of my mom was. I'm an only child. My mother was an only child. Her mother was an only child. Her mother was an only child, and her mother was an only child. So very matriarchal.
When is your
And
birthday
not a
again?
lot of family. Sorry.
When is your birthday again?
Oh, I'm an Aquarian, like you, January 31st.
Carol Channing's birthday is January
Same,
31st, and
same.
she's an
And
only
Rosemary
child.
Lore. Rosemary Lore as well. Although she
Is
might have a
Rosemary Lore
she has
not?
a
Well,
sibling.
Rosemary Lore's not an only child, though.
Oh no, not at all.
No, but
Um,
Carol Channing was an only child.
Yeah, see, and I didn't have a lot of friends, and so I didn't really think there was anything wrong with being an only child. It's funny, like now I'm so grateful that I get to spend my time with these amazing women because like now I get it. But when I was little, that wasn't my thing. We didn't. My mom loved music. Loved music, played records all the time, and we would all like once a week the big trip was to go to the record store. But and she played the organ by ear, but my mother was legally blind. I mean, she didn't have a stick in a dog, but she really was not well sighted. So I don't think that actually like playing an instrument for anything other than her enjoyment would ever have been the gig for her. But she played, man. She loved it and loved music, and so I always kind of dug it because she liked it so much.
And how did the move from Wilkes-Barre to Manhattan take place for you?
Oh, I by that time I had decided by the if where I lived, and we all kind of talk about these things in other shows, but when I grew up, if you wanted to be in music, you were in theater. Like that's what we had. Nobody had a garage band. Nobody played jazz, or there weren't those kind of clubs in our town. So we were in theater, and I just always thought that my career would be in theater. And so I went away to Syracuse to study. And then after a couple of semesters, sadly, my mother got very, very sick and I needed to come back and help in that situation. And then started doing regional theater and like short tours from there. And then it just seemed natural to move here.
And Danny went to Syracuse as well.
Oh, what was his major?
Landscape architecture.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good school for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked it. It just was such a big school. I wasn't ready for it. I had no idea how to do college. Like nobody really went through that with me. So I didn't know what to plan. If I had it to do over, I would have done it differently.
But with all of this happening around you, was there a pivotal moment for you where you just said, "This is it for me"?
I don't I feel like when I moved here, I feel like a whole world opened up to me, that there was so much more to music and creativity than just theater. Like when I went to college, I really sort of I went, having done lots and lots of community theater, you have this huge sense of family and everybody's you kind of in it together. And then I went to college and it was a lot more mercenary and very different. And suddenly I was like, no, I don't think this isn't what I want to do. And that was a panicky thing because I thought, well, what am I going to do? This is all I know how to do. But then when I moved here and suddenly started to meet other kinds of performers, and I took a cabaret class because I didn't know anybody, and I just thought that somebody at college had said, you know what, you're a club singer, really. You're too short to be on Broadway, and you should be a club singer. I thought, okay, I don't know what that is, but if you think I should do that, that saves me the trouble. That's what I'm going to do. So I took a class in '88 with Rick Jedson.
Wow.
And Lena, and honest to God, if I were to say like what changed, that changed everything for me, because then suddenly I was singing with Lena's band and I was writing songs, and then Juwazoo came along, the a cappella group that I was in, and it just
You're bringing back memories.
Yeah,
as
it
well.
just helped me to find where I fit.
Yes. Wow. Well, I'm going to bring up another photo, and here we are, and here she is.
Oh.
Oh, that sweet girl.
Nothing has
Look
changed.
how she is
No.
adorable.
I
That
am
coat still
adorable.
fits you.
So
That is a straight bang.
is this the Northern Pacific?
Yes, Pacific Northwest. That is
Yes.
Olympia, Washington. And I remember getting that new coat, and I loved it so much. And my mother took that photo.
With
So
your
tell us
pink.
a little bit about this little girl, and also, did you grow up in a musical household?
You know, my mother and my father were both very musical. They got divorced when I was really young. So when I'd go to my dad's, I'd hear his music, and when I'd go to my mom's, I'd hear her music. But my mother kind of sang in choirs her whole young life. And then later in life, when she was living in more of a retirement community, she joined another chorus. So music has been a big part of her life. My dad was more of a performer. He liked to sing, but he loved to, I guess back in the day, they used to do kind of not pantomime, what would you call it? Like lip syncing to records. And so
Mhm.
Spike Jones was like this comic. And so they
That
do
was a
this.
big thing. Jerry Lewis
Yeah.
started out doing that.
Yeah. So they would do all these like performances and stuff. And through his love of theater and all things theatrical, I kind of discovered singing and my love of theater and singing.
Um,
Yeah.
but was there a pivotal moment for you when you decided that this is the
Oh,
career
I knew
path for you?
very early on. I don't know if it was me. I mean, I just remember doing like performances in our basement with our neighbors. I remember everything was like on a proscenium stage for me. And then when I got in, you'll hear about the show. If you come see our show on Thursday, you'll hear the story. But
I'm gonna be there. I'm
my
have to be there.
starring role and where I really got bitten by the bug was in 5th grade when I was the star of a musical. And then from there, I was in musicals all throughout high school and then was a drama major in college and moved to New York City, got my Master of Fine Arts in North Carolina, moved to New York City to be an actor. So yeah, I knew very early on.
How did you make it to North Carolina, and why North Carolina? I'm from South Carolina,
I
and I
re-
know all about their drama
Yeah,
schools.
go Tar Heels.
Yes.
I auditioned for I wanted to be in a conservatory program, so like a 2 to 3 year very intensive master's program, and so I auditioned, that's one of the places I got in, and I was just like, "Seems good to me." So I'd never been to the South, I'd never been anywhere. I don't think I'd ever been anywhere east of the Mississippi. I mean, I really had been stayed on the West Coast, and
Mhm.
so yeah, I just ended up in North Carolina and had a wonderful experience getting my Master of Fine Arts. It was very intense, but then it seemed like this logical jump to like move up to New York afterwards.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, this next photograph, I mean, wait till you see this, everyone, because she's on
Oh,
a set. Wendy, this is you. Tell us about this picture.
Wendy, your
Well,
expression is fantastic.
I don't I think it looks like I'm completely fed up.
Yeah.
I think this was at like a fairyland kind of amusement park, for little kids. It was probably in Rockford, Illinois, or in near Beverly, Massachusetts, one of the places where my parents are from. And I just look like I've had it. I don't
You
know.
totally. I've seen that face.
I think you look bemused. You just look
Yeah, I'm
bemused.
just like,
So, Wendy, out of everyone here, I think you're the one who grew up in the world of show business.
yeah, yeah, basically. Yeah, my parents met in summer stock. And then my mother went on to do some modeling, and my father continued to do a little bit of acting, but then he got into writing.
For a little show that no one remembers these days. Do you want to tell everybody?
It's Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows.
Gothic little soap opera from the 60s. And it's quite they do have like conventions every year. Like
Oh my
it's
God.
Dark
Very
I
Shadows.
rushed,
popular.
They
I
still
rushed
do.
home every day after school. I had to. I think so many
Yeah,
of us did.
yeah. And so that was our big claim to fame in the
But
house.
did they sing as well, your parents?
My parents, but well, my mother didn't really sing. She always played the piano. My father would sing. He would sing me to sleep every night. My
That's
mother's mother had a bunch of sisters, and they would harmonize. They would do a lot of hymn singing, and all in beautiful harmony. And then, and between that and my dad loved musical theater, loved it, and so we had a lot of musical theater playing all the time, and and a lot of his friends were very, musical theatery and actory and that sort of types. And so my friends and I would take their albums and just act out all these shows and fight over who got to be Julie Andrews. And that, that was our big thing.
That was the case in my house, but I always won out. So I'm going to ask, I want to ask a question. It's for all of you. And it may seem like an odd question, but I have got my reasons. Do you believe in destination?
Like destiny?
Destiny. I meant to say destiny.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like,
oh, no, I mean, I
Destination.
believe in destinations too.
Yes, destination,
Places to
destiny.
go.
we love to travel.
I think I do. Yeah.
Do you think that it was destiny that the four of you came together?
I think so. I think we were ready. I think we were at a point in our lives when we had been taking these classes together with Lenny Watts. We heard each other and we were like, boy, we sound good together. And I remember the night that we went out, we were discovering it was like an open mic or something.
We were at Sid Gold's.
Oh, on
Yeah.
28th Street?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And we went down there and we were talking about how we pay all these money for the classes and it's really great, but maybe we could take that money and put it towards a show. And it was just like a collective idea between the four of us. And so, yeah, I do think it was kind of destiny.
Wendy, do you remember the first time that you became aware of cabaret or a cabaret community in New York?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I was singing in a church choir, and the soprano in the choir said, "You have to go to this school. It's called the Singers Forum, and you can work with a person who does cabaret performances." And so I went there, and I was actually just hooked into that school for a few years, and then I met Lenny Watts and Lena Katrakis doing a Summer in the City program. And like that's my world completely opened up from that point on. And I went on to work with Lenny exclusively. I mean, Lena's amazing, but I worked with Lenny, and then I just started meeting people and through classes and going to shows and discovering what I did a show with Terry Lynn Paul. I was her backup
Oh
singer.
my God.
Yeah.
Terry Lynn
I
Paul.
love Terry
I
Lynn
know.
Paul.
It was great. It was an Elvis show.
Yes,
It was
memory
so
of
cool.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that show.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
And with
don't
Dick
know.
Gallagher was her MD.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
this is really back in the day.
Yeah.
Well,
How
So
come I
this,
didn't
yeah,
know
this
you
is
then?
mid 2000s, I think.
But you had also heard from Johnny King, who was one of the instructors at Singers Forum, about me
Yes.
after I'd kind of left Singers Forum and gone on to different things. And then you
Right.
had heard about me because the first time I met you, you said, "Oh, Johnny King used to talk about you."
Well,
So
actually, it
weird.
was it was Johnny King, but also Margaret Curry.
Oh, okay.
no.
Oh, I love Margaret Curry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's amazing.
so
All these connections.
these connections,
You
and
know,
then
I did not
Rachel
know
and
that
Karen-
about you guys. I didn't
See,
know that.
aren't these nice things to do,
Yeah.
Rachel Hanser?
It's
And Rachel Hanser and Karen Mack had known each other from a previous lifetime because
Rachel
they'd
was
done
in my
shows together,
wedding.
but yes, but
Yes,
Rachel
I was her
in your wedding.
bridesmaid.
Wow.
In
So
my
yes,
wedding.
definitely destiny. I'm telling
Right.
you.
So-
But we met in Jay Bradley's Christmas show. We used to do
Oh.
that together. And Stephen Ray Watkins was one of the singers. And I didn't even know he was a music director. I just thought he was one of our singers.
Wow. It's like going down memory lane tonight.
true.
Eve, you left the business for a while and then came back.
Yes, well, I kind of moved to New York City, had been singing my whole life, started to sing at Singers Forum, developed a couple cabaret shows, and then I think I just got distracted. I don't know. I ended up having a career on, I say it loosely, but on Wall Street, and just stopped singing. And then when I found myself in London working for a bank, I came back to New York City and said, "What's missing from my life?" And I thought, I need to sing more. And that's when a friend of mine who I worked with at Goldman Sachs had said, "Hey, I know this guy, Lenny Watts. We know each other for a million years. Why don't you give him a call?" And then the rest is history.
So we're going to talk about Lenny in a few moments because I'm sure he's not listening. But if he is, Lenny, we're going to make your ears burn tonight.
You never know.
Yes. Eve, do you remember the first cabaret show that you ever saw?
I feel like, yes, it was a Don't Tell Mom, and I don't remember her name, but she was this powerhouse woman who sang with a choir backing her up.
That was Jenny Burton. The
Jenny
Jenny
Burton.
Experience.
Jenny Burton,
Yes.
the Jenny Burton experience.
Yes.
Guess what? I bet I handed you a drink that night, my
You
friend.
you probably did.
If anyone knows how to get in touch with Jenny Burton, I'd love to have her on the show because I miss and love her.
I just remember being very moved by her. It was wonderful, that show.
But didn't she
Great
prove
show.
to you, Eve and Karen as well, that cabaret did not need to sit into a little box?
For sure.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Wendy, do you remember the first cabaret show that you saw?
I'm pretty sure it was Karen Mason's Christmas show. Terry Lynn Paul took me and my friend Ave to see Karen Mason's Christmas show. She said, "You have to see this," and I can't even. It was astounding. It was so good.
I'll give a little plug here. Karen's going to be on the show on the 16th, so everyone tune in.
Very nice.
Karen, your first cabaret show.
It was Nancy Lamotte upstairs at 88's.
Wow.
And it was and it was back when they used to do like a 7, a 9, and an 11, so it was a late show. And she was absolutely breathtaking. Alina had her whole class come to see the show, and I just remember like watching it thinking like I'd never seen, Nancy was just special. There was just something about Nancy. She just loved to sing, and whether there were 80 people in the room or 8 people in the room, she was invested the same way. It was a really, really cool thing to see. Oh, and there was this table that was in the front. There was a table, 88's the way it was laid out. If anyone out there has never been to the club, they had 2 big round tables that were right in the front, like boothy tables on either side of the stage. So if you were at one of those tables, you were really kind of in the show. And there was a full table house left that literally would not stop talking. And they were sort of having a good time, but they really were having their own good time. And about halfway through, Nancy took a breath and she looked over at them and said, "If I pay your check right now, will you leave?" And they looked at each other kind of shocked, and everybody applauded. And sure enough, exactly what happened. And for me, you ask about life changers, Richard, that was a life changer for me, that somebody had so much love and respect for what they were doing and for everybody else in the room, that they took charge in that way, that suddenly you were painfully aware that it was not a fourth wall situation. It was a masterful moment. And she was a tiny, Nancy was not like it's not like Christine Zabornik doing that. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I would be petrified to hear.
Christine would totally give him the bums rush, like firemen's carry them out of the room. But it was something. It was really, I'll never forget it.
The other night,
Wow.
I interviewed Jay Landers, who is Barbara Streisand's producer, and Barbara Streisand was a big fan of Nancy Lamotte. So loved listening to her. But there's a great recording of Lilias White at Archie's. Remember Archie's?
Oh yeah, sure.
And on the recording, it was recorded live. She says, "Can you hear me in the back? I can hear you." So, I mean, it's great that's what I love most about cabaret. The fact that the fourth wall is absolutely gone. Rachel, what was your first cabaret show?
All right, this is going to sound terrible, but I can't remember. And
That's
furthermore,
okay.
I think at the time I had my entrance into the cabaret community was more about, I used to go to the bars and sit and watch open mic and just watch people sing and learn how they sang. And I wasn't really going to full on shows. I think at that time, this was in the 90s, I was really going out to bars and other places, the bitter end and places in the village, hearing singer-songwriters. But I do remember going to the Duplex and 88's and all kinds of places and the Don't Tell Mamas to watch people get up at the open mic to just try to learn from them. And I have one little story when you guys are talking about noise in the room. I took a couple of workshops. There were cabaret workshops, and the very first one I took was at the New School. And that's how I learned about the cabaret was even in existence. And he took us, I don't remember where, but somewhere in the village for each of us to sing. And as we got up, there were a couple people in the corner, drunk. They were clinking their bottles. They were talking loud. They were laughing. And I had friends who came and they were so mad. They said, "Those people were so rude to you." When we got to class the next week, the teacher asked us, well, what did you think? How did it go? And we were all complaining. It would have been fine, except for these people were so rude. And he said, well, they were my friends and I planted them there. And I asked them to do that, to throw you a little bit and to see how you would handle a situation like that from somebody in the audience.
Wow. That's
Wow.
very interesting that a teacher would do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say this with all due respect to the teacher. It's a sad commentary that would even be something that we would, any of us as artists, would even have to consider or deal with.
Right.
But I'm going to ask, your show at Don't Tell Mama is you're singing Broadway.
The Broadway.
The Broadway.
Broadway.
Whose idea was
Volume
it to
1.
do this show? What was that?
Whose idea
Volume
was
one.
it?
Whose idea was it to do the Broadway?
You know, I think it was Lenny Watts, wasn't it?
We came in with 3 ideas. There were 3 shows that had kind of bounced around with us. There was there, and not that you may not see all of these shows eventually, hopefully. We had an idea for a show
Right.
that was Those Girls 2x4, which would be all duets but
Oh,
done by
right.
4 people.
Wow.
Kind of restructured for that. And then we had done a show 2 years ago, or like before COVID, really. So more than that, Those Girls Sing the Boys, Volume 1. We thought maybe do we do Volume 2, or is it too soon for that? And then the other suggestion was Those Girls Sing the Broadway. And it's funny. I think when we first brought it to the table, I don't think any of us were really sure it was going to be the one that was the right time for it. But the more we came in with, it always happens, we start with like the huge idea dump and everybody comes in and just puts out all of the possibilities for songs and arrangements. And when we have done theater songs in things, people always love it. Like people are always so responsive to that and to our love of theater. So I feel like that's what clinched it.
Yeah, I also think that it was during COVID, during the lockdown, and the one thing about New York, one of the many things about New York that was difficult to deal with was the fact that Broadway closed down. And it's
sure.
like, New York didn't feel like New York without Broadway. So I think there was also this kind of this, passion to keep Broadway alive, even if it wasn't around. So that was also an impetus.
Well, I read in an article today that Broadway is definitely bouncing back, so that's all good news.
Very good.
But are there any songs in the show that are from current Broadway shows or a Broadway show that is just about to open?
A Broadway show.
Well, we had a rule.
Current.
Well, Karen, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
current.
We have a song from 6.
We have a song
That's
from-
current.
Mhm.
And when we looked, when we were building the show, Rachel had a number of songs that she brought in that she really loved, and we all felt strongly about, from Sing Street, which was supposed to come in, and then because of COVID, didn't come in. Although it didn't. Didn't you say that, Rachel? Isn't it now?
I thought I
back on
saw that
track?
it might be opening now in
It's got
December.
an out of town, so hopefully that'll
Right.
come in, and maybe we'll. The nice thing is, it's not like we're doing Oklahoma, where it's like like if something came along and was new and we wanted to job it in, we always try to keep our shows a little fluid, like a concert or like a set, so that if something comes in that somebody feels really strongly about, or if there's something that we're doing that could be a different moment, that we have some flexibility.
Well, I'm thinking about a certain Stephen Sondheim song.
Oh, well, that's we do that's one of the clips that we sent. I'm sure you're setting that up. We in Those Girls Sing the Boys, actually, our encore was Joanna from Sweeney Todd. And honestly, that was a big factor. The reaction to that was a big part of what got us thinking, you know what, we should do more Sondheim. We love Sondheim. We're fans on both sides of the footlights for that. But this is it's a very special arrangement by Stephen Ray Watkins that he put together for us.
And is this in the show on Thursday night?
It is not in the show on Thursday night. Although you never know on Thursday, Richard. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, we're going to hear it now. We're going to see it now. So I'm going to bring it up here. So let's do this. And I'm going to bring this on. And
Sweet.
Pretty lady in the pretty garden, can't you stay? got leave and we got paid today. Pretty lady with a flower, give a lonely sailor half an hour. Pretty lady, can you understand a word I say? Don't go away. I feel you, Joanna. I feel you. I was half convinced I'd waken, satisfied enough to dream you. Happily I was mistaken, Joanna. I'll steal you, Joanna. I'll steal you. Do they think that walls can hide you? Even now I'm at your window. I am in the dark beside you. Buried sweetly in your yellow hair. I feel you, Joanna, and one day I'll steal you. Till I'm with you, then I'm with you there, sweetly buried in your yellow hair. Pretty lady, beg your pardon. Won't you walk me through your pretty garden? Pretty lady, look, I'm on my knees. Pretty, please.
Even with the sound effects of Joanna coughing in the background.
I did it. That cougher was fine, by the way. People always worry that they were fine. They were fine. Overcome with emotion.
So, how many MAC awards or nominations have you received as a group?
Three
Well, we won
awards.
three.
Three nominations and three
Three.
awards. Well, four nominations if
Four
you count this
nominations
year.
for nominees this year.
Yep.
And on
Now,
that clip, everybody on stage is a nominee. Don Kelly and Matt Sharfglass, Stephen. That's
Yep.
a nice moment
so
there.
you just got a nomination.
We
Yes.
did
We
just get a
did.
nomination.
Congratulations
Very
on that.
exciting. This was a big year.
So I want to ask each of you. I mean, and I'll start with you, Eve. Since you first started and went away and then came back, a lot's changed in the business. What are some of the things that you really love that have changed within the cabaret community? And what are things that were in place when you first began that are no longer there that you truly miss?
I think what I really love, I mean, part of it's probably just me and my more openness, but I think I love the community. And I feel like once you start supporting your friends who are also doing cabaret shows, you start taking classes, you just start getting out there and seeing stuff. I just feel like the community is really the best part of it. And I'm sure it's always been there. I just wasn't a part of it necessarily before. So I think that's really a lovely piece of it. And then something that's not there, I don't know, I feel like there was kind of a mystique about cabaret before that, all this, you hear all these stories about these, shows at 11 o'clock or shows at midnight or shows at 1. There was just this kind of mystique about cabaret that I think it was kind of an inner circle thing that I don't know if that's there anymore. I don't know if that's a bad thing because I don't necessarily stay up that late.
Well, we had Lena on the show last Thursday, and we were talking about this. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that when we were doing these 11 o'clock and midnight shows, we didn't have social media. So
Yeah.
people were getting out of the house and going to see shows.
Yeah.
Same question for you, Wendy.
I'm not even really sure how to answer that. I would agree with Eve about the community and that I'm discovering the thing that I'm discovering. There's just such an infinite variety of people and talents and styles and it's it can be overwhelming but I love that I'm just going to pick a plug for us. I love that I found my harmonic home. I guess that would be the way I put it.
I am too, because you are phenomenal. I love all of you. So I'm glad
and
we
then
all found each other.
Yeah. So, and then a negative thing, I don't know. I think I probably went into cabaret thinking it was all one thing. So that's more negative on my thinking. And that my eyes have been opened and I've learned a lot. So I guess that's not negative in general, but it started out negative. And then, because seeing the diversity and the amount of, maybe not as much diversity, but stylistically and in all aspects, I've grown, I guess.
That's great. Karen Mack, same question.
Oh, it is a tough one. I will say I love, kind of to echo Wendy a little bit. I love how cabaret has become much more open to people that do big shows and people that do small shows and people that do that highlight different material, and it's not just one thing. It's not just the Great American Songbook, or it's not just like a singer with a trio. Like it's that it has really branched out, and people were certainly doing that back in the day. One of the best shows I ever saw was Rick Sky's Neil Sedaka show, and he had like a whole set and he had like backup singers, and I was like, wow, you really can do anything in these spaces. So I like that people are embracing that. I think there's a shortage of houses. I think it's hard to find places to play. I think it's hard to find, it's hard for those places to get on board and really support performers. Like there's not, I guess maybe it is kind of because with the onslaught of social media, like Lena, you and Lena are right. Like the bars were the places that you would go, or the clubs were the places you would go, and everybody would be talking about shows and excited about them. You'd go to happy hour, who was here, who was there. That doesn't really happen. They're so driven by tourist trade, which is great, but they're not necessarily the people that keep us going. So I would love to see, our us get back to a little bit more of that, where people are a little bit more, and not to dog any of the people that are booking these rooms. We have gotten so much support, and I see it across the board in cabaret from people that are really trying. I think that the business as a business is a challenge right now.
Absolutely. Rachel?
I'm going to sound a bit repetitive, but you heard me say at the get-go that when I was first doing cabaret shows, I knew the people who worked the rooms, like Miss Mack, and the folks doing tech for me and things like that. But I didn't really know any other performers. I sang backup vocals for a few people here and there, but I didn't have a community. And I think for me, in large part, that community really came about when I started to take the classes with Lenny Watts, and then I met people and I started to go see their shows, and they were coming to our shows. And so, that for me brought about a whole new world, and I made some amazing new friends. Of course, these ladies right here and more. So for me, that was very special because I always felt very isolated. And I guess I didn't really know how to get into the community. So I didn't know there was a MAC. I didn't know anything. I would do my shows at Don't Tell Mamas and go home. And, that was kind of it. And I'm going to echo Karen. I was thinking exactly what you were going to say. I was thinking about all the clubs that I had been to in the past years ago, 88s, Five Oaks, other places
Oh,
that are not
yes.
around anymore, right? I'm putting out the
Danny's.
cobwebs. Danny's
Yeah.
Skylight.
Danny
Oh,
Skylight.
yeah.
What a show I had there one time. Story for another day. But I mean,
But Blossom
honestly,
Dearie played at Danny's. Like it's not like it
Yeah.
was just the
I
underbelly.
follow
Like
Blossom Dearie, and if you followed Blossom Dearie, the thing about Blossom Dearie, did any of you ever go see Blossom Dearie?
Yeah.
Blossom Dearie shows did not end after an hour. If
oh
she felt
no,
like going on,
no.
Yeah.
but the fact that I was going to follow Blossom Dearie, I could sit in the wings and just listen to her sing all night. It was fine with me. Some audiences were not happy, but it didn't bother me. I was happy. I loved her.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, as a group, Lenny Watts, he's so special in the community. What makes him a great director?
I think he has amazing ideas and creativity. He just brings so much great humor and cleverness to the table. He's also really great with the music arrangements. I mean, he just has some
Sure.
incredibly clever ideas. I think also after working with us for so long, he knows us. He knows our shortcomings. He knows our strengths. He knows what kind of dance moves he can give us and what he can't. And yeah, I mean, that's for me personally what I see in him. I think he's really talented.
That's great. I want to have a little fun with each of you now. So I've got 4 mystery questions, and Eve, I'm going to let you go first. You can pick a number 1 through 4, and this is all about the creative process.
3.
And your question is, and it's a statement, and you finish the statement. As I take on new challenges, I feel calm, confident, and powerful. Are you there yet?
Yeah. I think I am.
Great.
Yeah.
And what has gotten you there?
Age. Age and confidence. I mean, really, I think I've done a lot of personal development work on myself through the years. So I think part of it's just feeling more comfortable in my skin. And, that feeling of what have you got to lose? I mean, we all are such unique individuals. And I know it's so easy to put yourself into the compare despair syndrome and look at everyone else and what everyone else is doing. But if you just bring your whole self to whatever you're doing, that's when magic happens, I think.
Agreed. I want to recommend a great book for everyone. It's called Confidence, CALM Fidence. And it's written by Patricia Stark, who's been on this show, but it's an amazing book, and it's a great read, and you'll all gain something from it. Wendy, you as well. You can pick a number 1 through 4.
1.
Okay. And your question, finish. I'm going to go with this. I'm comfortable expressing my uncomfortable emotions. Is that you?
I'm comfortable expressing my uncomfortable emotions. Ultimately, yes. I mean, because they just I don't seem to have any control over them. So they just come out when they want to come out. But I think ultimately, like Eve said, it's like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's you just say what you need to say.
That's a great way to look at
cry
things.
when you
And
need to cry.
And I totally agree with you. And when I need to cry, I do. Karen,
Yeah.
pick a number 1 through
Sure.
3.
2.
And yours, the statement is, my actions are intentional and they bring me closer to my goals. Are you very intentional as far as a career path?
That's a tough one. I like to think so. I mean, I certainly have always a method to my madness, but I'm afraid I'm for better or for worse, I'm one of those people that sees a million possibilities all the time. So trying to figure out which is how to connect the dots, like all of them go toward good things, I hope. But I think that's a tough one. I'm sure that's an age and opportunity kind of thing.
Okay. And Rachel, number 1 or 2?
Oh, I still get to choose?
Yes.
I'll go one because nobody said one yet.
Okay. And yours is, it's a question. What's something that has happened in your career that you will never, ever do again?
Oh my God. That's a crazy question. Oh, look at Eve. She's going to go through the camera. Wow. Geez. Well, you know what? This is just a small thing. But once we did a show and I was very nervous. It was a boot camp show. And instead of believing in myself that I had my lyrics memorized, right? I put paper out there just on the side on a stand, right? And Lenny used to always say in these classes, have faith in yourself. It's there, even if you don't think it is. And I'm still mad at myself from that show because I look back at the video and I'm looking down at the paper because I didn't have the confidence and the faith that it was in there. And if I had to do it all over again, I would throw the paper away and say, give it a whirl, girl, because even if you don't know every single word, something will come out and you'll give a better performance to the people. And that's what it's about.
That's great. Now I've got some questions, specific questions for each of you. Eve, what's something that you'd like to get done or make progress on as far as your career is concerned this year?
I would say I've kind of been fiddling around with a solo show for a while, and I started to work on it a little bit in Lenny Watts's Cab Lab class that he teaches, Singnasium. And it just even yesterday, I started to think about like, what's the opening number? What's the second number? So I think I'd like to just map that out this year, whether or not I get it up on the stage or do it. Because we have a lot of stuff going on with those girls is another question, but I'd like to at least kind of like start to build the show.
That's great. And when you get there, you'll come back on the show.
Absolutely. Happy to.
Great. Good. Wendy, what is your best method for self-promotion?
The other girls. I'm notoriously bad at promoting myself.
Okay.
I really try, but I don't know. It's that weird voice from your past that gets you. But I'm working on it, and I put things on Facebook and I share things.
Yeah, but you always have people who come out of the woodwork to see the show. Like the at the last show, the gal that you taught, the high school gal. Like,
yeah, I know.
Random people
that
from your class. Yeah.
You see, Wendy, that when they know about it, they.
But I do. I mean, I do put it out there. But I'm what?
Okay.
Oh, I didn't hear what you said. Anyway,
said when they know about it,
I
they
put
come.
it out there, and yeah, I try, but I guess really Facebook and email and handing out cards whenever I see people.
Okay, and Karen, this
Pretty
may
basic.
be in line with the last question I asked you, which you're going to probably hate me for, but do you feel that you have systematically built a career, or do you feel that your careers happen due to circumstances?
Scratch and claw, my friend, scratch and claw. First of all, I don't know that anybody would define what I have as a career. Let's be very clear about that. But I love what I do, and I really am very, very very grateful that I certainly it's so funny, you bring out these old pictures and we tell these stories and you kind of think, oh, all of these different paths that I could have gone down. But I love where I am. I work with amazing people. I have wonderful people in my life, and I do feel like a lot of that is available to me because along the way, for better or for worse, I made choices. I chose it. I said I want to be happier. I want to work in situations that make me feel valued, that make me feel important. I want to be able to do the kind of creative work that stretches me, and I want to lift people up. I want people to come and see what I do and be proud that anybody would come and see me in something, would be happy that they paid the money and that they spent their time. And I'm lucky, almost like all of the things that I do, and I do a bunch of different things, but I feel like they all sort of do fall into that. So even though I don't make as much money as other people, or maybe don't have as many opportunities, people do shows in town every day. They don't call me. That's okay, because the stuff that I have that fills my creative world, I wouldn't have be different.
That's the way it should be. Absolutely. And Rachel, for you, where do you feel that your focus should be when it comes to your work over the next year?
That's a good question. I think certainly with those girls, I mean, whatever we're doing, I mean, I would like to see us as a group start to venture forth a little bit more into the country. We've gone away and we've played a gig in Seattle, which was really exciting. And we have been invited to sing in Austin in October. But there's lots of, I'm really excited about that because some of my family is there. So, but I think if we could get to some other places, I just think it's really exciting and fun to go on the road and go into a new room, a new space, sing in front of people that you've never sung in front of before, and just have that experience. So that's what I'd like to see the girls do in the next year.
Wow. Well, I love all four of you,
Aw,
and I'm
thanks,
so
Richard.
glad that you said
Thank you.
yes to being on the show tonight. I'm going to say my closing remarks, and then I'm going to give each of you a chance to have your closing remarks tonight. It could be about anything that we spoke about tonight that you would like to expound upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any final message that you want to leave everyone with tonight. I do want to let everyone know that my show on Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. We are 5 away from selling out. So if you're interested in coming to see the show, go to richardskipper.com and order your tickets. Otherwise, we have to stop at 60 because of the staffing at the restaurant and getting people in and out. That's their rule, not mine. So I hope to see as many of you as possible. And if not there, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. on the 18th. I'm kicking off their cabaret week. And Lena Katrakis, whose name we've dropped a few times tonight, is ending that week. So we've got some great talent that's going to be going around. I cannot stress enough how important it is to go and see a live show. I know a lot of people have asked me just in the last few days, are you going to do a live stream? And I said, I want to be experienced in the flesh. I've been doing enough of these virtual shows. I'm almost at 700 of them. I'm done. I'm going to continue doing them, but I want to be among the people. And that's not just me being on stage with people sitting in the audience watching me. It's sitting in a house like Don't Tell Mama on Thursday night watching those girls. Go and see a live show. Carol Channing once said that in order for a show to succeed, you need people from all walks of life. You need housewives, and you need doctors and lawyers and teachers, all sitting together in the dark, watching those artists on the stage. They work very hard at what they're doing, and they don't do it just for the sheer joy of singing into the cosmos. They need that feedback from an audience. So go see a live show if you possibly can. I end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Pick up the phone and call someone that you haven't spoken to in a while. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, but a phone call. And let that person know how they have made a difference in your lives. I'm going to share a story. We're going to go over a few moments, but I hope you don't mind me sharing this story because it's an artist that was mentioned tonight who a lot of us knew, and that's DJ Bradley. I absolutely loved that man. And I went to see, I was on vacation in Mykonos, and I walked into this little cabaret room, and there were pictures on the wall of Phyllis Pastore and Lena Katrakis and DJ Bradley, and I couldn't believe. And I came back home. I called DJ Bradley and I said, I can't believe this. I was in Greece and there was your picture, big as life on the wall. And he said, Richard, I just absolutely love performing there. I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go back. I'm so excited. He left the next morning. He got to Greece. He was on a moped and he had a heart attack and died. I know that's a sad story, but I am so glad that I had that conversation with him before he left, I was able to share with him that he made a difference in my life. And I think it's important that we all take the time to do that, because you don't know when that last phone call is going to be. And again, that is not being morbid. That's taking a proactive stance with the people that matter in our lives. That's the message that I want to give with that. I have a dear friend, Sean Moniger. Many of you know Sean. And Sean says, we're all in the same storm, but we're in different sized boats. I don't care if you're in a canoe or a yacht or a raft, or if you're pushing a tugboat upstream, whatever size boat you're on, make sure that you have a skipper by your side. And with that, I'm going to leave the screen. I'm going to turn it over to you, Eve. And when you finish, you'll pick the next person, and so on and so on. And when the last person is left, when you say goodbye, the credits will roll. Thank you all. I love you, and I'll see you on Thursday night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
so much,
Richard.
Richard.
much.
I feel like I'll say the same thing that I always say right before we go out on stage. We hold our pinkies, we have a little ritual, and I say, remember, we do this for fun. And I truly believe that we do this to make our hearts sing. And so I'm glad I have these 4 women to do that with. Wendy, over to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I would say that that if you can sing, you should sing. If you want to sing, you should sing. Everybody should sing. Everybody can sing. It's vibral healing. That's one of the best compliments I've gotten as a group, was that it felt like vibral healing. And I feel healed every time I sing with my bandmates, shall we say. And I would wish for everybody to feel that vibrational healing. And I will pass it on to Rachel.
Thank you, Wendy. I just want to say to everybody that it is never too late to try something and do something that you love. We formed this group when we were not in our 20s, and we didn't let our age stop us, and we're not letting our age stop us as we go forward. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't. If there's something you want to try and do, and if you think you're going to love it and it's going to bring you joy, I say go for it, because we did, and we have been the better and the happier for it. And I will turn it over to you, my dear friend, Karen Mack.
Hi, Rachie. This was so much fun. Richard, the way that you celebrate everybody and everything, it's incredibly special. And thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. A special shout out to Natasha Lombardi. I see you out there. And you're such a fan of the show, and I always enjoy your comments. And yes, we would love to come to Maine. So yes, please. Please reach out and let's see if we can make that happen. That would be so fun. I agree with everything that my colleagues, my friends said, and especially with Rachel just now. There is so much joy, there is so much healing, there is so much goodness that comes from making music and connecting with people and sharing of yourself. And if you're going to do it, and find the people that make you better. Find people that make you work a little harder. Be open to listening to great teachers, to new experiences. Go and find new music. There was a meme that I saw a long time ago that said people that introduce you to new music are important. And that doesn't necessarily mean new music, like modern music, but something that's out of your purview. Just let yourself love it a lot, I guess I'd say, and go to see as much as you can. And keep up the good work for everybody that's out there performing. It's cabaret month, it's cabaret season. I know there's a lot of awards and things that are going on, but honest to God, everybody that got out of the house and put something up in front of people and took that leap of faith did an incredible thing last year, and that's winning to me. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time. And check us out at thosegirlssing.com.